So.
I love you so much.
All right, ready? I'm gonna just do my, my little intro. Yeah, no, that's fine. Nope. I was trying to be. I'll come back to it later. Because I was thinking of this whole grand scheme. No, thank you.
Oh no, do it.
No. Because I'm a perfectionist, and I can't just fly off the cuff. Because then I'll be mad, and then I'll be like, just X the whole episode because of the beginning, and
I hate it. Yeah.
I'll just hate it. So no, it's okay. Next time,
I'm trying to. Virgo?
Huh?
Are you a Virgo?
I'm an Aries.
An Aries. Oh hey, we're opposite signs. I'm a Libra. Like
really?
we're supposed to. Yeah, supposedly we're the matches. Yeah.
Look at us.
I know.
That makes perfect sense.
I feel.
Hello, this is Yolanda Murphy, and welcome to this Exceptional Journey podcast, where you will find inspiration to live courageously through adversity, empowerment to live freely despite your past, and ignition to live boldly in your purpose, all by walking the survivor side of life. Good people, what is up? Of course, it's your girl, Yolanda Murphy, back with another episode of this Exceptional Journey podcast. How you been? How you doing? How your mama and them doing? As you can clearly tell from the title, I have someone that's so, freaking amazing with me today. But before we get there, if this is your first time listening, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking over to my little corner of the podcast world. And if you are returning, wasn't that last one just riveting? It was just so soul-stirring, wasn't it? Either way it goes, thank you again, guys. You could be clicking anywhere else, but you decided to click on over to your girl. Thank you so much. Let me plug real quick my social media. Of course, Facebook and Instagram. At This Exceptional Journey. What? Let's add them, right?
Yeah.
And then Twitter at TEJ Podcast. Hit me up. Even hashtag me TEJ Podcast questions, comments, suggestions. Your girl wants to hear from you. I want to connect. Good? Let's dive right in. As you can tell from the beautiful mug that you see, I have my homie with me here today. The one, the only, Maria. Girl, how you doing?
I'm so good. My mom is good.
Mom and them's good?
Mom and them's good. I got my ex-boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend's shirt on that I kept. It's like one of my favorites.
So comfy cozy it looks.
It is.
It looks. And I have one YACS.
Mm-hmm. Sure do.
Support. We were just talking.
And as soon as I saw it, I was jealous. I was like, fuck, I should have worn my YACS shirt. I blew
it's
it.
Okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I didn't give the memo. I apologize.
No, it's all right. It's okay.
I apologize. But I knew, first of all, I don't really keep my place hot because I'm always hot. But I was going to put on a sweater and I was like, oh no. Because we were just talking about our hot flashes, guys. And they just come out of nowhere, and I really didn't feel like disrobing in the middle of the podcast episode. Yeah. So I was like, let's just stick to a t-shirt. But we're comfy cozy, right?
Yeah, we're comfy cozy.
But if you do not know who Maria is, I've spoken about her, I guess, on a few other guest podcasts. Your name has come up.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. Yes. I cannot.
In a good way, babe. In a good way.
Well, is the one right before me, is it Steven? Is it my Steven?
No, I'm not sure. I have to look at the calendar. Okay. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I think Steven's is next month.
Okay.
And I think yours is the month after. I can't remember. Don't quote me.
It's all good.
But Aaron and I were talking about.
Oh, shit.
And then I think Neha as well.
Oh, really? Fuck. I can't wait to listen.
I can't remember. But either way it goes.
I'm behind.
My homie is in the building. She is one of my close friends. Of course, a part of, drum roll, the Young Adult Cancer Support Group out of the Cancer Caring Center.
Woo!
So if you guys haven't noticed the theme, I told everyone, and if you've heard this story, just skip ahead. I told everyone you're getting a podcast episode, like legit. Weren't we at the Pirates game?
Yes, we were, but then it came up in group again later, which will always.
We are not. Don't bring up old stuff.
No, I won't. But
we're not going to mention any names.
No, we're
Courtney.
not. Did you? not everybody.
Not everyone. Insider, if you know what I'm talking about, hit that like button.
Vicious bitches. We are.
But anyway, she is also a member of the illustrious YACS group that some of you have already heard a few guests come from. You've heard from Stephanie, who is the leader. I think at this juncture, Aaron's episode has gone live and a couple others. So my girl's in the building. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to dive in. So unfortunately, as you all know, and if you don't know, let me just let you know, what ties all of us in young adult cancer support is cancer, unfortunately. So I told everyone you're telling your story. Like, this is just what's going to go down. Because everyone's story is so important. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can tell my story until I'm blue in the face, but people I can touch, or people you can touch, or vice versa, we can't. Yeah. Not touch. You know what? This one.
I had like a Joey Tribbiani moment there. It was really,
gosh.
yeah.
The people I can touch, you can't
touch.
And vice versa.
Yeah. We're into different shit, and that's okay.
And it's all right.
Yeah.
It's quite all right.
It's
so
good.
I told Maria, and this baby has a story. Listen, you're going to hear it. So I told her, I was like, you have to come on because I need people to understand, first of all, the imminent strength that you just give off is freaking amazing.
Thank you.
Like, so we're just going to go ahead. We're not going to chit-chat chatty Cathy anymore. What is your story? Please start wherever you would like.
So
let's go.
My story is, I mean, it couldn't be easy. Like, it couldn't just be like a simple fucking trajectory. It has to have like B stories and shit. And so,
and it does.
And it sure does. And because it's all just totally intertwined. So you're going to hear about cancer. You're going to hear about intimate partner violence. You're going to hear about an eating disorder. You're going to hear about bad doctors, the whole nine. And good doctors, great doctors.
I mean, let's be honest. Cancer does not stop our lives. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely right just from the jump. Like, you're going to hear all of this because all of this was going on at the same time.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean?
And also cancer was the clarifier. And like you and I have talked about it. And I feel like this is why, stop me when I'm wrong, why you wanted to have me on was because we talk about like cancer kind of was the best thing that like ever happened to me. Like there is, I'm not one for like positivity for the sake of positivity,
right? But
what I like to keep shit real, and at the end of the day, like it's about what you do with it, because everybody has struggle. Everybody, almost everybody has struggle.
No,
and
we all got something. It might not be a struggle, but
but we all have a thing.
Yeah,
and or many things. And life is what you make it, and at the end of the day, like I firmly believe like everything is temporary, even good shit and bad shit.
Sure.
Like, so you have to just endure the bad stuff, and then you really have to appreciate whatever good comes into your life, because that is also fleeting and ephemeral. So like pain I think is a gift. Pain means you are still alive.
Listen.
You cannot be in pain if you're dead. You cannot have hot flashes if you're dead.
Hello.
So like it's and just on a couple different levels, exactly where I am. Happy to be here. So So I just want you to know before I get into this, it has a happy ending because it hasn't ended yet. Yeah. Yes. I feel and it's
Absolutely.
not. There isn't even like the continuancy. It's a happy one.
Right.
So I want to start, I guess. 4 years ago, I was in the assistant director's department of my job. I was a PA, basically making $7 an hour, doing the job of somebody who running around for 80 hours a week, making $7 an hour when the person next to me whose job you're doing is making $3,000 a week base.
Shut up.
So it's very exploitative.
Right.
There was a huge... there was a bang. Actually, there was
a bang.
There was a bang. Actually, there was it was the year that I worked on Carol, this movie called Criminal Activities, which was really cool, and The Last Witch Hunter. I was at my heaviest. I was like 232 pounds.
I just can't see that.
I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I
was. I weigh
and
that
I struggled.
now, but I'm just saying, that's crazy.
Yeah, I struggled for so long, and I was so sick, like my entire life, and had no idea why. And I had that year an existential crisis, because there was this horrible accident that had happened, not on my job that I was on, but a girl died. Her name was Sarah Jones, and she died on a train trestle, which is like a totally offshoot kind of thing, but her death was due to negligence. And then it like hit me, oh my God, we are not a big happy family. Like they don't care if we die. And then I went on to work on these 3 shows that weren't the safest. Like there were holes in safety that came down to money a lot of times, and it was very infuriating to me. I was also deeply in the closet.
Okay.
And I was struggling with my health.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning of 2015, I had a full-blown existential crisis. And Vin Diesel just broke me as a human being. And I came out of the closet, and I quit the AD department. And then I found a new doctor because my old doctor for the last 10 years had, when I would go in and be like, hey, I work 80 hours a week. I'm on my feet constantly. I am exhausted. And I am huge. What is happening to me? And she'd go, I don't know why you're fat. You're fat. And I was like, oh, okay.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And then I would come in with these giant rashes all over my neck and my face and all over my body. And I'd be like, hey, what's this? And she's like, well, I mean, you'll figure out what you're allergic to before we will. Like, have you changed your soap? What's going on? And I was like, no, I haven't. So
What? This.
I know. So I'm telling you, something in me broke that year. And so I put on Facebook, like, to my friends, you know, does anybody have a doctor that doesn't fat shame them and actually wants to do their fucking job?
Right.
And my friend Demian said, actually, yeah, I do. And she's out by you. And if you don't like her, I will pay for your appointment. And I was like, okay. So I go in, and in the first 5 minutes of me telling her what's going on with me, she goes, have you ever been tested for allergies? And I was like, no, it's for rich people, pussies. And she goes, about that pussy. And then that was it. Like, and here it comes back. I have 10 major food allergies, one of them being wheat, which is kind of important. And but I didn't make the connection that I had celiacs, because I knew that was like this long drawn out process and the whole nine. So I thought I just had a wheat allergy. I didn't know that also meant celiacs, and that comes in. So I start doing that. And I cut all of those things out of my diet, and I lost 70 pounds within that next year. Technically 90, but I'll get to that. So I also came out of the closet shortly after, about losing like 15 pounds. Like, this is like June, July now, and I've lost a little bit of weight. I came out of the closet, and I jumped right into the arms of an abusive partner. And the mirroring ideation, mirroring ideation, and what's the other part? And love bombing stage is really glorious. It lasts at least 3 months, somewhere around there, and then like the mask comes off, and it is all turmoil, and it's an abusive cycle after that. So fast forward a whole year and a half. It's August of 2016. We're looking for, like, we're super excited about the election. I'm wrapping up a job. I know, right? I'm wrapping up a job called Outsiders, and I am down 70 pounds. And then about a month later, I lost another 15 pounds, 10, 15 pounds. And then by October, I had lost 20, and I was really weak, and I wasn't like picking up that like something's rotten in Denmark here. And I was really gaunt, and I was so excited because I had an eating disorder, and I had had a binge eating disorder my entire life, like from the age of 10 up until well, I still have one. So but when I found out about my allergies, it had gone from binge eating to a more restrictive thing.
Okay.
And I was very unaware of this. And with my abuser, I wasn't really allowed to, without going into too much detail, I wasn't allowed to having an eating disorder or even bring it up because that would have been insulting and it wouldn't have been like, that wasn't something that could happen to me. So I, that's what I thought it was. I thought I was just like nailing it.
Right.
And,
Girl, you was getting it.
yeah, I was getting it. And so like my dad looks at me and is like, me, don't lose any more weight. Like, I'm really worried about you. And I was like, whatever, Dad, I'm a size 6. Like, I was so, I was so happy. But I didn't realize, like, I should have been getting stronger. Like, we were working on the side of a mountain. Like, that was the other thing. Like, that's another reason why I thought this was happening was because I wasn't working out, but I was running up and down this hill. So, in theory, I should have been getting stronger. And instead, like, I was getting weaker. And it wasn't until we were wrapping out that show that I needed help from one of our buddies, Ted, had to lift these shoe boxes. And like, the whole reason they like me in the costume department is because I was strong and I could lift heavy shit. And now I couldn't do it. And so like, I was like really pulling at this box. And then I went, can you put this box on the high shelf? And he was like, oh, that killed you, didn't it? And I was like, you have no idea. I was so upset.
I understand completely.
And so I ended up with this really bad cold in October, and they put me on antibiotics, and it mostly went away, except I had this really bad fatigue, and this is, again, while we were still wrapping out. And then Donald Trump won the presidency, and I thought I had, and I thought I had post-election depression. I thought like, I was like, this is no different than everybody else. Everybody else is all fucked up and sick and sad. Like that must be what this is.
Orange Cheeto.
Yeah, orange Cheeto. So I was like, this is just, I'm mourning America right now.
Yeah.
But
as we still are.
As we still are. And so then in November, I kind of had, I was sad, but I kind of had this reprieve. And in December, I got hit like by the cancer truck. Like it, and I didn't know that at the time, but it was like literally somebody knocked me out and then cut me open, poured sand inside of me and sewed me back up. I couldn't get up. My dad had to like lift me up, which wasn't hard at that point, and take me to the bathroom. Like couldn't, I just laid on the couch all of Christmas and cried. And so I couldn't even get to the doctor to like, I don't know, get checked out.
Right.
And so by the time I finally can move, it's January. And I get myself to the doctor, and it's the same amazing doctor.
Yes.
And she knows what's going on. So I do blood work, and it comes back that I have Lyme disease. Like it's, and what we know now is that like probably didn't have it, but like my white blood cells were elevated so high, because they're supposed to be between like 4 point something and 11 point something. And mine were like 800, almost 900.
Oh, wow.
So it came back positive for Lyme, and I was devastated about Lyme. And because I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is a lifelong horrible thing that I have to do. I have nothing but endless respect and admiration for people who go through Lyme disease. And I was like, oh my God, this is my life now. And I was having a really hard time adjusting to that. But she was like, so I want you to also like take this iron supplement because your iron's really low. And in a couple weeks, I want you to come back to me. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I didn't think much of it. Yeah. And I had just fortunately gotten into the union. Like I had I had this great insurance. So but I didn't make another appointment. She did. And it pops up on my phone, and I was like, oh well shit, I guess I better go to this, and I better go and get the blood work too. Like they checked up. And so I went. And then I go back in, and she goes, hey, girlfriend, you got like 2 red blood cells swimming around in your body. Like, I'm exaggerating, but not by much. So tomorrow you're going to a hematologist, and Friday you're going to get a CT scan. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, so the next day I see like hematology, oncology. And at that point, I kind of knew what was going on.
Right.
And I also didn't know at this point, like, me and my ex were going through like the devaluing stage of our relationship. So like she was looking elsewhere. Like we were supposed to leave on a trip in 2 weeks from this point to go to Mexico, which would have been the first time I was leaving the country. I was super excited.
Yeah.
We were going with her friends. I was like ready to go. I had paid for everything. You know, knowing what I know now, I'd have been like, babe, you go on the trip. I'm going to stay here and you're just going to have to pay me back.
That's it.
Yeah. But none of those things happen. Instead, I go in and they kind of give me this like, listen, we think it's one of three things. We think it's either lymphoma, rheumatoid arthritis, which I can't even fucking pronounce, and or lupus. And I went, well, those kind of sound terrible, but like if I could pick one, not that I can, but if I could pick one, I want to go with the lymphoma. And they both like cocked their head and were like, bitch, what? And I was like, well, you just told me, like the other two are chronic lifelong pain illnesses. This is something like you just told me a 95% chance of survival. So that's 6 months out to sea with some nausea because of the chemo and a new haircut. I can handle that.
Meanwhile, with the other ones, it's like forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you still, like with RA, you still have to get chemo. With lupus, you still have to get, my cousins have it. And also what I'm learning is at this point is that I have celiacs and Hodgkin's are linked together. They are best friends. Best buds. And so I was very surprised, but at the same time I was like, I think with a lot of people when they get cancer, they're like, oh my God, why me? And I was like, well, I've ate a donut every fucking day of my life since I was born until I was 29. So I'd say donuts? I know. Oh my God. It's like to this day, like that's the emoji of infinite joy for me. Like that's it.
Donuts
like,
are amazing.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. Amazing. They're my favorite thing. And I miss them terribly. But you know what? I'm alive.
Listen.
Can't have a donut if you're dead.
I'll have one for you tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate you. I smell them. Like actually, time out from this story. Me and my friends went out for our friend Chrissy's birthday. We went to like Miracle on Liberty it was awesome. And at the end of the night, this guy is walking up and he's a bigger dude. So I thought he was like a bouncer. And in his hand, I see he's got a donut. He has an eclair, cream-filled chocolate top.
Yes.
I was like, it's 2:00 in the morning. Where the fuck did you get a donut? Let me smell your donut. And
smell the donut?
I smelled it, yeah, because 90%. And he looked at me, and my friends were laughing, and I was like, bitch, 90% of tasting is smelling.
You are correct.
Yeah, so I smelled his donut. Well, here, he was not the bouncer. He was just some crazy asshole, and he ended up following us.
Oh, my God.
And he, I guess, was like waiting for... Because I smelled his donut. Toxic masculinity ruins the party again.
Ruins the party again.
Yeah, so, I mean, just because I sniffed your donut doesn't mean I want to suck your dick.
Doesn't mean I want to sniff anything else.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying. Did enough of that.
Guys, I love so much.
Yeah. So because I love donuts, so I will literally like if you want to catch me in a trap, like one of those like coyote roadrunner
cartoons.
Yeah, put a donut under the box.
That is so funny.
I'm just laying that out there. So
just putting that out there.
Yeah, but so I know why I got cancer, and I earned it, and it happens.
It happens.
So they're not sure which one it is, but the CT will reveal, what's going on. So I get it the next day, and, within a couple hours, they call me and they say they see something suspicious. So I'm going to get a biopsy that next week, which was Valentine's Day. And then my doctor, Kim, who was just heaven, she calls me afterwards. And we had a very frank discussion that, like, yeah, it's lymphoma. We obviously don't know which one. That's what the biopsy is going to tell us. But whatever it is, we're going to beat it. And I was like, do I still have Lyme? And she's like, well, fuck, I mean, even if you do, the chemo will kill it. And I was like, boom, banging.
There it is.
Perfect. Yeah. Bang-a-rang. We're fine.
Kill
So,
two birds with one stone.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, that's excellent.
So no lie for me.
Yeah, this is fine. So I get the biopsy, and it's like a 3-day waiting period. And so I talked to Kim, and I'm like, can I get my eyebrows microbladed? Can I get ahead of this thing? Can I still go to Mexico? And she's like, yeah, sure, we'll figure it out. And so I was in these Costume 101 classes for my union, and at lunch I messaged Kim, and I'm like, okay, any word? And about an hour later, I get a text back that's like, when do you leave on your vacation? And I was like, fuck. Right. I knew. And so they wanted me in the hospital that night.
Oh, shut
And
up.
yeah, what I didn't realize until that night when I went was that I was gray. I was completely gray. I had no color. And so my sister Angelina, my youngest sister, stayed the night with me. And she watched the entire blood transfusion, because that's why they wanted me in there. Before they gave me chemo the next night, they wanted me to get blood. And Angie said that it was like watching a cartoon. We're back to cartoons. Watching a cartoon. Yeah, I do love cartoons. Like whenever somebody gets like steam hot and like the color rises up their body, that's what it looked like.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that. Wow.
Yeah, it was bananas. I didn't realize that but I did like this little job, and there are pictures from it in January where I like picked my sick ass off the ground, and I did this little indie movie for one of my friends, and I loved it, and it like revitalized me a little bit. But I saw some stills from it, and I look fucked up. Like I look like a vampire. I am so yeah. It's amazing like how gaunt I was in the face, like and that is a typical, like that's one of the symptoms, like when you see it, like it's like you get a very bony forehead, very jutty cheekbones, and I was just like, I just have good cheekbones. Like gosh. Again, I'm
just losing all this weight.
It's amazing, like when there's nothing wrong with you, how you think you have everything, you know, like you cannot like go on the internet and Google your symptoms, or else you think you're dying. But when you're actually dying, you're like, oh, no, this is fine. No, everything's great. I'm just really hot. Crazy. Yeah, totally.
Oh, no, I'm good. My left toe's supposed to be hanging like that.
Yeah,
everything's fine.
It's fine. And my therapist actually said to me the other day, she was like, I feel like you are like that little cartoon character in where like the room is on fire around them, and they're just there with their coffee going like, this is fine. I was cold anyway, so and I usually am.
You needed to turn the heat up anyway.
Yeah. This is better.
That's hilarious.
I wasn't emotionally attached to my surroundings.
No, not
at
all.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit. So so then that started my 6-month long chemo journey with ABVD that we hoped would work. I had given my ex an out. She did not take it. Wish she had, didn't. She kind of started to unravel towards the end of my treatment, and I'm thinking like, it was like a total skid into the other. Like I never saw this pivot happen. How it was going to happen, I could have never predicted it. But what ended up happening was you have to wait 6 weeks after your last chemo treatment. And in that 6 weeks, I found out she was cheating on me with a 17-year-old girl. It was just emotional at that point, though. Don't worry. Didn't cross any lines until she was 18. And that was but here's the thing, though. This part of the journey, which is what I talk about like in my blog, the Hodgkin, this is where like the Hodgkin's lymphoma, because I'm your favorite cancer murdering lesbian, picks up, is at this pivotal moment where in the same 48 hours that I found out I still had cancer, I found out she was cheating on me. And it takes 7 to 10 times to leave an abusive relationship. And I am kind of proud of myself that not that there's anything wrong if it takes you 20 times, just get out.
Right.
But I only went back twice.
I mean, that says something.
Yeah, once the summer before, and like before I had cancer, and then or the summer before I had cancer, and then at this moment, because now donor marrow is on the table, and I don't know if you know anything about donor marrow transplants, but it's an 85% chance that you're not going to make it. You can get graft versus host, and if that happens with like a kidney, let's say, or a lung, you take the kidney out.
Right.
It's still dangerous, but you take the kidney out. If your stem cells are bad, you're just dead. Whew. And sometimes it only buys you a year. Sometimes, and we were, in this moment, I was also finding out Haley was sick, one of our friends.
Oh,
yeah. So all of this was happening. And then our friend Jen died at the same time. And so I am, at this point, I am writing letters to my family and my friends because I think I'm going to be dead by Christmas.
Right.
They started me on this thing called brentuximab that I could feel not working. And the quote unquote love of my life, I'm mad at her because she had this emotional affair, but she really loves me and she's really trying, and I don't want to die being selfish and being mad at the woman that I'm in love with and wasting what little time we have on this planet together. Right. So I went back hard and really put all of my energy into this, and we did enter another idealization, mirroring, and love bombing stage for about a month, wherein I found out the brentuximab was not working, and in fact, it did not just work. The cancer had gotten bigger and spread further across my chest, and then then they started me on this treatment called ICE. Which knocked me on my absolute ass, and I'm so happy. It was it was so painful, and it was so hard, and I was loving it. It was, I was
loving it.
Oh, they were like, how do you feel? I was like, fucking miserable. It's wonderful, because I could feel it killing my little monster. And it was while I was in, my uncles threw me this beautiful, amazing benefit.
Yes. I was so mad I couldn't come.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but you know what, though? Now we get to have other parties.
Girl, yes, we
will. We get to have all the parties.
Yes.
But it was wonderful because I thought that was the last time I was going to see everybody in that room. And my eating disorder was at an all-time high in this moment. I was using this whole cancer thing to just 100% not eat. And then in the beginning of December, my ex left my hospital room and flew to New York City to go to see Hamilton, which I was a little jealous about to begin with. But then she also met up with that girl, and to which I owe that girl my life. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about her. I appreciate her. I feel what happened to her because I feel she got taken advantage of, and she might not even really be aware of that or understand that she was also victimized there. It's kind of like how, and I love the Clintons, but Monica Lewinsky is only now starting to understand the imbalance of power and how fucked up that was. I think when she's an adult and she is 30, she will understand how creepy it was that a 30-year-old woman took advantage of her in the state that she was in when she really needed a fucking friend. And somebody who really cared about her. And so, but that's not that was my business in that moment and no moment since. So I just have nothing but admiration for this kid. She's been through hell, and I think she's wonderful, but at the moment I was a little upset.
Yeah, of course.
And I was devastated, and it was that weekend that I have never been closer to death than in that moment. And that's like, my doctors were more worried about that killing me than the cancer. I did not know if I was going to get through it. I just had that moment, like that moment of painful doubt. And then I was like, no, fuck this.
Yeah.
I need to live. I have all of these people. Like, there's this old, like, shit my dad says, quote that's like, why are you going to set up your picnic next to the only pile of shit in the park? Like, there was so much, I was just so worried. Like, I had already had all of this loss. Now I'm going to lose her. I'm going to lose her family. I'm going to lose all of our mutual friends. And I did. But it's okay.
Right,
because
right.
I had a whole fucking army of 500 other people who, and that's like not an exaggeration. It might be an underestimate, honestly, of people who have my back, who are there for me. And so I finally started to focus on myself. The only thing is when you are coming out of an abusive relationship, it is like detoxing off of heroin, no joke, because you are chemically addicted to that person. You are trauma bonded. And like, I hate to use the term Stockholm syndrome because because there's such a negative connotation to it, but that's actually what it is. That's what trauma bonding is. And so it's that, and then you're also deprogramming from a cult, because they don't just abuse you by themselves. They have friends and family they have enablers and tongue biters that normalize this behavior, so you don't even see it. So the further and further I got away from that, the better off I was. And so over the next couple months, my ice treatment fortunately worked. Actually, like 2 days ago, it popped up like on my Facebook memories, that my video that I did when I found out that they had gotten me into remission and they could harvest my stem cells. It was just pure euphoria. And I knew at that moment, nothing could kill me. Nothing could kill me. She couldn't kill me. The cancer couldn't kill me. I was going to live, and I was just all fire and piss and vinegar and hellstone, and it was vinegar, all of it. I was fucking gasoline, and I was on fire, and I was going.
Listen.
And yeah, oh, totally.
Here's the kicker. I think people don't realize. I mean, of course, you know, when you're at the beginning of a cancer diagnosis, and you know, we all have to face it in our own ways. But baby, when they tell you that you beat it, you're like, oh, well, I can do anything. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, let's do this and let's do this and I can get this done. And like, it puts a fire under you like I don't think I would have ever had if I didn't have cancer.
No, because it is truly a clarifier. And I've read so many books now, like, in my education of getting out of this abuse, that it also parlays into cancer, of like, to seek wholeness. We are so motivated by the fact that we're going to die. Everything we do is motivated. Our art, because we want to leave a legacy behind.
Correct.
And so when you are told, and this is also something I forgot to mention, I also found out at the same time that fall, when all of that shit was going on, I could no longer have children. The way everything timed out, there was not enough. It was like, save my life or save my eggs.
Yep.
And I had wanted to, at that time, leave those eggs behind in case I did die. And I was really bummed out that if I died, my family wouldn't have anything left of me. But, like, you have to deal with your own mortality in that moment. And you have to decide what kind of dignified death you want to go. And then, like, what are you leaving behind in your stead?
Yeah.
Are you leaving this world a kinder place, a better place, a more compassionate place?
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. But once it's over, you still have to do that.
Yeah.
So, like, even though I am hoping that I will live until I am 90, healthy 90.
Right.
What am I going to do in these next decades?
Yep.
to make the world a better place, to leave my legacy behind. Like, how am I going to change the fucking world and make shit better, and what matters and what doesn't,
Right.
and who matters and who doesn't.
Exactly.
And you talk about this, about like your tribe.
Yep.
You know, and like,
Yep.
like you have to figure out who the fuck is in your tribe, and
Listen.
whoever isn't, bye.
Because I have no time. And just like you said, unfortunately, at a younger age, we've had to face our own immortality or mortality. And, you know, I tell people all the time, and I've told people from the very beginning, when I was told I had cancer, I looked at it this way. I had 50% of living, 50% chance of living or dying. And I was determined to beat it. But it, just like you said, becomes such a clarifier, because then people who matter you see, and people who don't, you're like, oh, okay, have a good life. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, you start to put things into perspective, and like you said, once you come out on the other side, you're like, okay, now that I did that, I have to live up to still living this legacy. That's so crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get hung up. Like, I mean, I was hung up like the last like couple weeks, like the last couple months, when in between this podcast and the last podcast, I lost some friends because I spoke out about my abuse. And like, I got hung up. You get hung up on petty shit every now and again.
For sure.
And what I realized is that like, they were, as much as in cancer, kind of as it normally is a clarifier, it clouded my judgment because they were there.
Got it.
But
Got it.
the reality is they weren't there for me. They were there for a lot of reasons, but I wasn't it, which is why they're not here now.
Right.
And like, they either believe, or they either don't believe what happened to me, even though they fucking saw it happening. A good lot of them. And also, I haven't told a lie since I was 15 fucking years old. My abuser, as with abusers with that specific cluster B personality disorder range, the bookmark is that they lie all the time. So they are not credible. I am nothing but credible. So they either don't believe me, or they believe me and they don't give a fuck.
Right.
I don't need that. I don't need that. I have more than enough.
Girl.
And I'm like, I have a hard time chuckling my fucking friends as it is.
I don't need, listen. I tell you, I'm not
Listen.
mad. When people ask me, like, you know, when I go to church or when I'm out, you know, in different arenas with different, like, friends or family, I talk about the same very few people. And when people see me in action, like with my friends, I call them my family, of course, my friends that are family.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you keep a tight ship. I said, no, I don't play those games. No. Because here's the thing. And some people, like, there's this one young lady that I go to church with, and she always comments and laughs. She's like, I mean, it's tight up in here, huh? And I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, because, like, you don't let anyone near you. Like, no one knows. And I'm like, it's not necessarily that I don't let anyone near me. First of all, if we look at history, how many times how many times can we say as women that our friendships have been taken advantage of?
Oh,
we already
all
know
day
that.
long.
So then I've learned from that. And then, just like you said with cancer, you're like, okay, no, definitely not you. No, you can go back home. It's okay. I don't want you on my team. Like,
oh, totally.
No, and I'm okay with that. I can't even, like you said, juggle the ones that I have close now.
It's a whole lot. And like, I have, like, when I was trying to do math, which is never a good idea for me,
Girl,
but
my brain.
So I was like, oh my God, I have like 20 best friends. And I don't mean,
That's
I mean
so
like that's like 20, like, you know, like the ride or die best friends
for
that
sure.
you hang out all the fucking time, you talk to almost every single day. I have 20 of those.
That's a lot.
I have 40 close friends that I see on a semi-regular basis. And then from there, and then I have all, like, this big community. I have several communities, because I have the gay community, I have my film community, I have our cancer group, and like, me and Steven get a little cliquey every now and again, but like, beyond that, like,
we love you, Steven.
Yeah, we love you so much, Steven. So like, you know, you start to prioritize like who you want in your life and who you don't. And the problem for me has been that, like, I am an extrovert. I will,
She
like,
is, guys.
people,
She's
oh
not
my
lying.
God.
She's not lying.
And like, to the point sometimes of exhaustion, like, it fills my cup so much with energy, but my body can't always keep, especially now, can't necessarily keep up with it.
Yeah.
So I am literally crawling to the next thing because I'm like, just one more people. I just need to be around one more people.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
And like,
that's the truth.
I can't stop.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I connect with people really well.
Oh,
and my thing is like, I you know, and we have talked about this a lot. Like I feel very gullible because I have let a lot of shitty people in because I accept them and I enjoy them, and then I'm like, wait, they suck. Like it takes me a minute because as opposed to me looking at them and going like, well, really, what are you bringing to the table?
Right.
Or are you lying? And part of that is because I don't lie.
Right.
I assume other people
right.
are also following that same honor code, especially like in our cancer support group.
Hello.
And so when you or Stephanie or Steven will be like, oh no, they're full of shit. And I'm like, wait, what? And so I was talking to my therapist about this, and I was like, I just feel so dumb. And she's like, Maria, it is not a bad thing to give people the benefit of the doubt and trust people until they give you a reason not to. It's just that when they give you the reason not to, don't. And I'm so much better about that now. But like, I got snowed. I got snowed by like a whole shitload of people in my past, like especially, you know, with my abuser. And like my friend Marta said this amazing thing: you are very much the 5 people closest to you. And you're a reflection of the people. And I was like, ooh, okay, I'm gonna and so like I got snowed. But here's the thing: just this week, this was so cool. Stephanie reached out to me. A girl reached out to her, also named Maria, who is going to join YACS because she heard my story on Marta's podcast.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So I got her help. And then I also got to help a friend from high school leave an abusive situation by sharing my story, by making her feel not alone.
Right.
And if I had to go through cancer and an abusive relationship and endure intimate partner violence, then you know what? I'm glad that I did it so that I can help other people.
Absolutely.
Like if I had to do it, there was no choice. It is something that happened to me. I'm perks. I'm about those cancer perks. Like when I first got diagnosed, I was like, guys, if you get pulled over, start crying. I was like, just start crying. And just say like, my friend Maria got cancer. They don't need to know when I got diagnosed. They don't. Use it wherever you can. Like make the world a better place with it. And that's what I'm doing now. Is like I went through this bullshit. It was really hard. That transplant that I ended up going through was the hard. They lit me on fire from the inside, and I lived. Like it was the most painful thing I have ever gone through. On top of deprogramming from that toxic relationship, I'm not entirely sure how I made it out, but I think it's because I was really angry and I was really upset, and all of that fueled me. There is an upside to anger, and it is sometimes, you know, you need a little gasoline, a little kerosene, and
get on through it.
And so if I had to go through all of that just to get here, so I can be an activist, I can be an advocate, I can be a union steward, I can protect other people and also protect myself and live my best life. And now I'm learning mindfulness, and I am learning how, like, unconditional self-love, which I did not know was possible. Like, that's amazing.
Absolutely.
I love myself now.
Absolutely.
And if I would have loved myself a couple years ago, I'd have never been in that relationship. I wouldn't have had toxic friends. I wouldn't have believed people. Like,
Listen,
I would have taken better care of my body. I probably would have sought out information ahead of time. So like you can only benefit from reading and researching and getting your shit together and getting your life together. And if I can be a conduit for other people's education, I will fucking do it. Because I can't save them. I've learned that. You cannot fix people. You cannot save them. But you can lead them to the water.
You are correct.
You can get them in the right direction. It's up to them to take the actions.
Absolutely.
But you can believe in people, you can encourage people, and the support that I received when I had cancer was unfucking real. And I when you're given that much love, when your cup is full and it's leaking onto your saucer,
you pass it on.
It's time to, slake the thirst of the other people. And so that is like my life's mission now, and that's my story. And
and that's the
2 hours, 2 hours later.
Not too, babe, not too. But I mean, that's good though. I mean, because you kind of seeped into what a couple other questions I had, because I mean, cancer shapes different people in different ways. And just like you said, there are some people who are very content with, after being diagnosed and actually making it, just going back to normal life. That's just their mission, to prove to themselves that they can live a life that they did before diagnosis. And that's cool if that's you. But I think you touched on something very important. It is vital and crucial that if your cup overflows, to not just keep letting it overflow.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You have to pass it on. Like, just like you said, just sharing your story. One of my podcast episodes I did last year talked about why your story is important. And at the end of the day, no one, and just like we both said earlier, there are people that you can touch that I can't, depending upon your testimony or my story. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And after coming out of everything that we've gone through, whether it's chemo, radiation, ice, whatever it is, transplants, at the end of the day, to know that the pain and the suffering that we went through is able to help someone else to get through it, makes it all worth it to me.
Absolutely.
Legit.
And especially like I support your whole mission on so many levels, and like I'm so excited for your book, because the reality is
Coming
is
soon,
like
guys, coming soon.
I like I feel like even more the other way, like your story needs to be told more so than another white broad needs their story told. Like, Black women are so fucking underrepresented.
Very much so.
That on every fucking level.
Yeah,
But on cancer, like you don't even see it on television.
Yep.
Okay, listen, I haven't watched television in a couple years. I'm a podcast junkie, but correct me if I'm wrong. When's the last time you saw a depiction of a woman of color or anybody of color getting cancer on a television show, like a primetime television show?
Interesting.
I don't. I mean, like the occasional guest star on Grey's Anatomy or whatever, but like I'm talking about like having it.
Right, like primetime show.
Primetime.
Like, yeah.
What the
Unfolding
fuck?
the story.
Yeah.
Right.
What the fuck? So
I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, and and touching back on like like Mary Oliver just passed, rest in power, you wonderful, wonderful woman. But she had said, "What will you do with your precious life, with your one precious life?" And hers was to go out in nature and just enjoy her life. When you're talking about like just going back to normal, like, or whatever you want your normal to be, like, that was hers. She just wanted a life outside of her tumultuous environment, and she decided to love all the flora and fauna of the forest. And so a lot of people think that has to do with ambition, and it doesn't. It has to do with just being present and in the moment. And when we talk about like people who are selfish or who hurt other people or who their lives are clouded, what I'm finding now in this next stage of my recovery processes is like, it's not even them. It's not even their true selves. It's their protective selves that they did not ask to get taken over by. They are trying to not get hurt themselves, and therefore are passing their wounds along, or they are blocked, or they're like, they're not good or bad. They're just here. Right. And then some people are a force of chaos or confusion or pain. But that's because they're in pain. Yep. And that sucks for them. And I feel really, my heart is there for them. But they're the only people that can fix that.
Only people. Because I can't do it for you.
No, absolutely. You got to go. There's nothing wrong with therapy.
Woo, girl, say it again.
Therapy.
Oh
so
my
if you are going through this shit, go to therapy.
Woo.
Get the right therapist. Make sure read the books. Do the thing, because
it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're not in therapy and you have, what did we say last time we were talking about, like drinking problems? Like, you know, if you get sober, but you don't go to therapy, you're the same fucking person. You're just drinking water. And I'm proud of you.
Listen,
super proud of you. But that is a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. And you need to go to therapy and work through your shit.
Girl. You just preached,
I did.
Girl.
I did.
Oh my gosh.
I heard this great thing the other day that was like, don't preach to the choir, and somebody responded, sometimes the choir needs practice too.
Hello.
Yeah.
Just because you in the choir don't mean you don't need to be preached to.
Exactly.
Oh, girl. Thank you. You just helped me. Help me.
Yeah. Because
that's beautiful.
And I read this amazing book by Jackson McKenzie. It's the second book called Whole Again, and his first one was called Psychopath Free. So that was really helpful during my detox. And then Whole Again was wonderful because he was talking about how, like, you know, he knew all the things. He educated himself, but he still had this tightness around his heart and his chest, and it felt sick all of the time. And what he had to do was learn mindfulness. And the ironic part is like, when you have to do the same kind of therapy that your abuser does. You have to do DBT, you have to do dialectical behavioral therapy and mindfulness. It is amazing, especially for people who, like me, are not religious, so I don't have that thing.
Right.
And so for me to learn unconditional love, self-love, was phenomenal. Like, I mean, it was the closest thing I think I'll ever have to a religious experience, and I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get there. But when you meditate, when you think, when you start to forgive yourself, because that's what you really have to forgive is yourself. Because at the end of the day, like, I forgive me for not taking my health seriously, for valuing my likability or my finspiration, or my finspiration, for valuing my thinness over my wholeness, for believing somebody else is, like, submitting to somebody else's reality and control, to for just not loving myself. Like, but I had to forgive me for that.
For sure.
And I don't have to forgive anybody else for shit.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
It really does. Sure does.
And I'm okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm learning, though, that, like, it's not really about, like, it is, that belongs to somebody else. You can only control you and how you're going to react to something and how you are going to, and same thing with cancer. Like, you choose how that journey is going to go. You can be miserable the whole fucking time. And here, I had my temper tantrums. I cried. Like,
for sure.
But I only had that one moment where I was like, I had accepted that I was going to die at one point, but I didn't ever only want to die. Like, just want it to.
Right.
And just that one little bit in the early part of December. And then I lit the fuck up. But you could be like Haley, who was a ray of fucking sunshine until the moment her life left her. She was just, she's a saint. She's an angel. Like, she's just one of my most favorite people, and I will miss her for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
But so Haley was in our group, and she had leukemia, and she had a bone marrow transplant, but it was not her own. I don't think you can when you have leukemia, or they're just starting to figure that out now. So she had to get a donor transplant, and she was walking in the woods with her friends, and she caught this fungal infection that slowly, over a period of like 2 months, just killed her. It was so awful, and it was so painful, and the stuff that they were like, I cried about it more than I cried for myself. And she was a beacon of hope.
She was.
The whole time.
Yeah.
And I will talk about her forever.
Listen, I tell people all the time, I did a blog podcast on her, a blog episode, right around the time that she passed away. And then I talk about her in one of my other episodes of the podcast because, like, you know, I had been a part of the group. She passed away in December. I had been a part of the group since June of...
I had started a month after you. I started in the late July, and you started in early June.
And but she was one of the very first people that was like nice for no reason. And I was like, "Hey, Haley, girl." But every time we had an event, I would inevitably sit next to her. At the last Wig Out, when we had some party at the center. I think it was
Thanksgiving, or no, it couldn't have been Thanksgiving.
Was it? Maybe it was. I don't. Whatever
she wasn't
it was.
Christmas. It was
when Stephanie raffled off those tickets to the play. I can't remember which one it was, but she won. That's the only reason why I remember. Because she was like, "Oh my goodness," and she was talking about how she was going to take her mom, and she was really excited.
She won Penn's tickets at my benefit.
Oh, cool.
And then never got to go. I was so bummed.
Yeah, but she definitely was someone, because she was the very first person that I was close to that passed away, you know, a young adult cancer survivor. And I was like, what do I do with this? Like, I was talking to my therapist about it. Like, I don't know how to process this, because she was, what, 22, 21?
She just turned 21. She was baby.
Like, crazy.
And I remember, like, watching her when we were at cancer camp. Me and Steven are like huffing and puffing behind her, and these two bitches are running up this hill up to the obstacle course of death, and the high ropes, and she just was all things light and and sparkle.
And I think that's the good thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know about you, but it motivates me even more.
Oh,
you
totally.
know what I mean? Like, okay, so there's other Haleys out there. You know what I mean? I'm grateful that I got to know her. And I tell Stephanie all the time, I'm so grateful that you even started YACS, first of all, because I know all these amazing people.
Yeah.
But then I got to meet a David and a Haley and a Jen. You know what I mean? Because they brought light to my life. You know what I mean? In the very short period of time that I knew some of them. But it was great. She was great.
She was.
They were great. And... unfortunately, that comes along with this walk, but what are you going to, just like you said, how are you going to process it?
Oh, totally.
You know
well,
what I mean?
and one of my friends is in AA, and he's just one of my most favorite people in the entire world. And he was talking about how at your first meeting, they tell you buy a suit because you're going to be going to a lot of funerals. So sometimes you got to be in a group, right?
Yeah.
And with that group, unfortunately, regardless, there are casualties.
There are.
But what gives me a little bit of solace is I read this thing a couple of years ago, and I live by it, that you can't remember everything about you. So you rely on the people around you to remember those things for you. And you have pieces of other people in you that they might not remember. So when that person leaves you, a piece of you dies as well, or goes away. And I struggled a lot with that, with like my abuser, that I was like, oh my God, like so much of me was there. But a lot of things I don't want to carry with me.
Yeah.
Went.
For sure.
However, when somebody dies, that means that you kept a little piece of them. And so like I have a little piece of Haley, you have a little piece of Haley, and Jen and David. And so like in that way, they do get to live on through our memory. And at the end of the day, everybody we know and love on this planet is gonna die. It's just, why hasten that if you don't have to? And why waste any of this precious time that we have worrying about shit that is not gonna matter when you are writing your letters to the people that you love because you think you're gonna be dead in a month? Is this really gonna matter? Or you know, in 5 years, if you're looking at a longer trajectory, hopefully,
Right. Yeah.
is this going to matter? Because at the end of the day, I have lost such wonderful people to their own little monsters, whatever they might be.
Yeah.
And how whatever losing them in whatever capacity that is. But at this point, like, what can crush me is so much. Like, I feel pretty much invincible. Like, at this point.
You should.
And okay, so and that donut guy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Back to the eclair.
Back to the eclair. It always comes back to eclairs.
It always comes back to the eclairs.
Oh my God.
God.
Here's the thing. With the eclair guy who like was definitely gonna jump one of us. I was with my friend Kelly, and oh yeah, and I know, she was like, "You sniffed his donut," and I was like, guilty." Yes. But she was just indignant. She thought that was absolute. She was like, "I will fuck you up. Are you kidding me?" It was amazing. And we were walking to the car, and I told her, I was like, "I gotta tell you, after what I've been through the last couple years, bet if he would have come at me, I'd have killed him. Yeah, I had so much. I was like, I will take out all of the things I have inside. Yeah, all of the things that I have stored up in my body. Yeah, come at me.
It's not. Listen, it's that way. You really feel like, no,
I will kill you and I will finish your donut.
Babe.
I would. I mean, if I was going to jail, I'd definitely have one last donut.
I mean, you should.
Yeah.
Maybe you could.
Yeah.
You know,
a little
request
bit.
Donuts.
A donut.
And lock up or something.
Yeah. Last meal.
Yeah. A tray of eclairs.
Yeah, for sure. Although when I did think I was gonna die, I have a list like for my deathbed, whenever that is, of food. I got the idea from this wonderful writer, and I can't remember her name, but the book is called The Opposite of Loneliness, and she talks about, because she had celiacs, and she was like, my family and my children and the whole nine will be around my bed crying, and I will be stuffing my fucking face with donuts. And I was like, yes. And so that's exactly, like, I have a whole list of deathbed foods that I want to eat before I die. And so,
I mean, I get it, because there's certain ththings. I don't really have a restrictive diet, but there are certain things my body's like, nope, no more of that.
But there's like that tea last night.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, guys. So our group, our support group, we have an outing every month. And we went to this tea bar called Bantha Tea Bar that one of the members of the group started. Right?
Yeah, made it.
With a partner.
It's awesome. It's beautiful.
It's
you should, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, you should definitely go to Bantha Tea.
Bantha Tea. On
like
Penn.
Star Wars. Yeah, on Penn. Right across from Artisan.
So, I mean, but these teas, though, these aren't, guys, don't think of like Lipton.
They have like the normal teas.
Do. No,
but what we were trying was medicinal.
Yo, like we were trying teas from Indonesia and Mexico. They had this one, Kava. Is that what it was called?
I think that's what it was.
It was so disgusting. This baby,
I loved it.
Was like slurping. So he had different flavors. He had like milk chocolate,
a little darker, and then like dark chocolate.
So I smelled it first. I was like, "Let me smell your cup." I was like,
look,
no,
there you go.
No, I smell literally. My dad hates. I smell everything before I eat it. I've been doing it since I was little. My dad is like, "Why are you smelling it? You're just gonna eat it." I was like, "So I can see what it's gonna taste like."
And also, 90% of smelling or tasting is smelling.
Anyway, so I'm glad someone else is on the same page.
I'm totally with you.
Because I've been doing it literally all of my life.
Yeah.
But guys, this Kava, it had these babies tongue numb. I was like,
yeah, all of our time. And then I was high. I was absolutely high.
She wasn't the only one, because what was old girl's name? The one that we just met yesterday? I don't remember her name.
Why are you putting me on the spot like that?
Well, no, I knew she is if she's watching.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name, but she came with her friend. They were sitting next to us.
Shit. Oh my God. Listen, I'll remember. You better put this in the show notes.
Was her friend's name Emily?
No.
I think I just made that up.
No.
But either way it goes, she was feeling a little. Because she was like, this stuff. And she was like, so, it's like, everybody's in here high. What's going on?
Well, because you didn't drink, you did not drink the Kool-Aid.
No,
You'd have been alive.
I sipped it, because here's my thing. I don't have a problem trying something once.
Yeah.
I sipped the milk chocolate. I said, oh, heck no, this tastes like, what did I say? I said it tastes like, because I used to play soccer growing up. I said, it tastes like
muddy grass.
dirty, muddy grass from the bottom of your cleats. That's what it tastes like. Like, now the dark chocolate was better.
It was
because
better.
You really couldn't taste like
and
the
it didn't
earthy.
have the bitter. Yeah, like it was all the joy of dark chocolate without the bitter taste as well, which I feel like is a metaphor a little bit. But I like kombucha. You know what I mean? Like there are these Bubba's pickles that I've been having because I can't have kombucha yet until I get revaccinated.
Oh, yeah.
Which also, hey, public service announcement while we're here. Vaccinate your kids.
Please.
For fuck's sake, because there are people walking around with immunocompromised people who just trying to survive after bone marrow transplants and cancer and chemo, and you could kill them literally kill people by not vaccinating your kids. And it does not cause autism. And even if it did, would you rather your kid be dead? So number one, there's that. And then two, also, like, if you're sick, stay home or wash your hands.
Oh,
so I don't even know where I was going. That aggravated me so much. I can't even remember where I was going with that.
Well, here's the thing, because we were talking about the kava. And then we were talking about the milk chocolate, dark chocolate. And I think we were talking about, I don't even know. What
the fuck did I just do?
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. It was still important.
Either way it goes, public service announcement, make sure you vaccinate. Because here's my thing. When I was going through chemo, my doctor was like, don't go anywhere. He was like, if you can stay home for like 2 weeks.
Which is isolating and terrible.
But here's the thing. I worked from home.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't have a problem now. Of course, you know, I still wanted to go to church and you know, do all of these things. But I made sure I sat all the way in the back of the balcony. I didn't touch anybody. I didn't hug anybody. But that's serious.
You can be very lonely.
Life.
Yeah.
That's real life. So public service announcement. Just for you. But girlfriend, I think you've answered literally everything I was going to ask you. You've already talked about what you're looking to do. So no, I remember there is one thing that we talked about before that we didn't talk about.
Okay.
Because I had one last question, but before we get to that, so what's in the future now for you? Because what are you working on?
So, right now we are in the off season for film and television and commercials because nobody wants to shoot here in January and February. So I'm looking to get into the theater union so I can dress for theater, which is much cleaner, chiller, easier for me as I'm recovering. In the meantime, though, I am writing. So I have a blog post coming up that I'm probably going to drop in February. I don't know when this is going to come out, but it's my blog is called The Hodgkin's Lymphoma, and it is HTTP dot, you know, that whole fucking thing. But it's the Hodgkin's Lymphoma.wordpress.com. Okay. And I will be doing one last blog post about my coming out story and about intimate partner violence and how to recognize that you're in it, because it's kind of, you don't really know that it's happening as it's happening. So it'll be about those two things. Then I'm going to go on a hiatus a little bit from that so that I can finish my book. I am currently writing my very first article, and hopefully not the last article, for Table Magazine about how to navigate going to restaurants, and specifically here, but they're universal, when you have an exorbitant amount of allergies, and how not to be a dickhead, and how not to get your food spit in, and how it can be a reciprocal, awesome exchange between you and the restaurant, and how you can keep yourself essentially from getting poisoned. So I'm writing that. What else am I doing?
Girl, you're doing so much.
Yeah, I'm doing so much. And I'm heavily involved in my community, like my gay community, and my friends are forcing, my friend Gary is forcing me to do, not forcing me, but strongly influencing me to join the kickball team. And I was like, do I look like a sporty gay to you? So the answer is no.
What does a sporty gay look like?
Oh, not me.
No?
Like, no, well, I mean, like, it's, did you ever see Now and Then?
Is that with
Christina Ricci and Thora Birch and I can't remember.
Oh, when they were younger and they were friends?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw it a while ago. Yeah.
Do you remember when they're playing softball and Roberta goes up and Chrissy's sitting on the fence with a Twinkie and she goes, "Touchdown, Roberta! I'm Chrissy."
babe.
Yeah, I just never had it. I didn't have any, but like I'm getting there. My friend Mare and I think a couple other of us, we're gonna take a belly dancing class in February.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like it's cool.
I'm not showing my belly.
Huh?
I'm not showing my belly.
Oh, I am certainly not showing my belly. But I will, I will have, my goal is to have like a nice butt and a flat tummy. It doesn't have to be a six pack, but a flat tummy by the summer. That's short term goals.
We talked about
yeah.
this already.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm not mad, babe. I'm behind you.
Yeah.
You know.
But so I'm doing the writing thing, and then I have another article that I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but it's about I wanted to. And if it doesn't become an article, it'll just become a blog post. But it's about positivity and how like the negative aspects of positivity, of like you can't just it's more about when other people tell you when you're going through some shit to stay positive. Don't tell people who are going through some shit to stay positive, because people need to be able to express all of their feelings and emotions, because they are totally like, and they need a safe space to do it, which is why YACS is so important, because we have to talk about the ugly, awful things that we're feeling. And if you are not emotionally capable of handling that, check the fuck out. Politely bow out of that conversation and don't ask people how they're doing if you know they're going through shit.
Right.
You cannot.
And if you really don't want to know.
Yeah, you
like,
really
for real.
Yeah. Leave them the fuck alone.
Girl, I can't wait to read that.
Yeah. So
So we're writing.
We're writing, and I'm writing my book
Yes.
called Crimes Against Other Women.
Yes.
Which I'm really excited about.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's a short story, poem, and letter anthology, and it's about crimes that have been committed against me, but also crimes that I have committed against other women. And it started, I started writing it that December whenever I was going through all the things and I needed a creative outlet. But what it turned into was something so much more fleshed out and interesting and cool and three-dimensional than that. And what it is that when you commit crimes against other women, those are the things I feel like will haunt you on your deathbed. Those are the things that will keep you up at night. And the things that we do to each other are ultimately the crimes we commit against ourselves. They are projections of our own insecurities and our own hurt and our own pain and our own wounds. And the only way to heal that is to confess, to be upfront, to be honest, to ask for forgiveness, understand if you don't get it, and atone and be better in the future.
Absolutely.
And then like only then can we band together and be the people we need to be, and the women we need to be, so that we can dismantle the patriarchy.
Hello.
And it all kind of started because the story is there was this girl Alicia that I was like frenemies with in middle school, and we were in the lunch line, and I was really hurt by her and upset with her because she intentionally, and she told me this, started dating the kid that I liked. LOL, I'm gay as hell, because she knew it would hurt me. Like, she intentionally did it because she wanted to hurt my feelings, for whatever her motives to do that was. And she had a booger hanging out of her nose.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I didn't tell her because suffer, bitch.
Right.
Well, then I started thinking, what if I'm a horrible person and I have a booger hanging out of my nose and nobody tells me
right.
because I am doing crappy things. So then for the rest of my life until now, I check my nose like a cokehead because I am so worried constantly that I have a booger hanging out of my nose. And because when you curse other women, you curse yourself.
Basically.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. So that's like, so some of them are funny, some of them are sad, some of them are raw, some of them are angry.
Yeah.
A lot of them are contrite. But
I love it.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get it out there.
And of course, I'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah.
On all things Maria. So cool. Definitely check out our website, because there's already some good stuff on there. So definitely check that out. Read it whenever you guys get a chance. HodgkinsLymphoma.wordpress.com, right?
I think so.
Girlfriend, it's been so great.
Oh my God, I could hang out with you all day.
Girl, and literally, like, this is what we do. Like, we just sit and chill and talk. And, what did you think about this? And I love it. I
do
it.
too. That's why I'm always surprised whenever you're like, oh, I don't tell people shit about me. I'm like, what? You know?
No, legit. Like, if anyone is out there listening, literally, like, who's close to me, like my parents or, you know, some of my close friends, they'll tell you, like, I do, like, if new people come around me, depending upon the situation and the atmosphere, if new people come around, not that I shut down, but I'm instantly reading them. I am instantly getting a vibe, like, okay, who are you? What are you about? I watch their interaction with other people, because then that lets me know how you're going to interact with me. Girl, it's this
Which
whole
I
process.
totally appreciate. I'm just so surprised because we just immediately hit, like, we were just like best friends immediately.
I know.
And that's like how my life is. Like, you're in it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, when you were like, I don't tell people shit. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was so surprised.
Stephanie said the same thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, excuse me?
I was like,
excuse
no.
me?
Because, I mean, to me, to be honest, that speaks volumes to the scarcity of our group. It speaks to how
I feel high honors.
You know what I mean? Like, it speaks to how important the group is to me, to be able to be as free as I can and just lay my burdens down, for lack of a better phrase, and feel like, oh, these babies get it. If no one else gets it, I don't have to sugarcoat it. I don't have to cover it with anything, so you can swallow it easier. No, this is what it is. This is where I am. And you guys are like, oh my gosh, Yolanda, yes, like, we love you. And I'm like, hell yeah, this is what it's about.
Oh no, it's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
But, you know, out in regular world, I don't.
Oh, that's what, like,
I don't play those games.
The one time you were talking about, like, reaching out to, like, somebody asked you, like, oh, well, did you reach out to that person? And you were like, fuck no, I had cancer. They can come to me. And I was like,
and I really did say that, guys. I mean, because that's the truth, though.
No, it was. And I was like, oh my God, I could learn so much about boundaries from you. Like, it excited me. So I was like, I have so much to learn.
Oh my gosh. Listen.
Protect thyself.
And here's the problem. Because when you were talking about, what was it? Because you said your therapist said to you, you know, there's nothing wrong with being the person that trusts until someone gives you a reason not to. I'm on the complete opposite of the spectrum. I trust no one until you prove to me you can be trusted.
But I think that's the better way to be. And that's why I was...
No, that's not good. It's so debilitating. I mean, I'm not going to say there's one better than the other. But what I am saying is just like, you know, your therapist was saying to you, my therapist has also said to me, because there are, with people that I don't know, I instantly am so unemotional. Like, I'm all like very logical, like, and hello, how are you? But with you guys, you know, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
No, complete
opposite.
opposite.
So surprised.
Because I need to, and you know, if you read anything or read or hear anything later down the line, you'll understand why when my books are out and other podcasts and other guests are on. But there are things that happened to me like years ago, childhood through teenage years, college. It just made me very like, nope, you stay right there. I'm going to be right here. And this is how we're going to keep it moving. But sometimes it is a little daunting because then I'm like, I'm here over here.
I understand. Well,
you know what I mean?
Like, and listen, I've cried over a lot of worthless, horrible people.
Yeah.
Like, I have cried over really toxic people. I mean, I just did. I just cried over, like, a couple weeks ago, had a meltdown because I thought I lost. And I didn't. I didn't lose anything or anyone worth having. However, like, I wouldn't give that up only because, like, you know, when you have cancer, it's like you're going to your own funeral, so people tell you shit they wouldn't normally tell you. And I heard a lot of people say, you were the first person to be nice to me. And I'm talking about from fucking grade school until, like, into the movie industry, like, all of it. I was the first person, and I was like, how many people did you get to before you got to me? Because if I wasn't the first fucking person in the door, like,
that's crazy. That's
shitty, and I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm grateful that I could have been there. So, like, there is that is a positive part, but the bad part is you get shit on, like, and you get taken advantage of, and you get hurt. I wouldn't give that up. Yeah. But moving forward, boundaries are beautiful. Listen, so we could look, the
necessary.
more we, and so look at it like this: the more we hang out together. you're going to rub off on me, and I'm going to rub off on you, and we're going to be in the middle, and everything's going to be fine, and we're going to be like the healthiest motherfuckers out there.
The healthiest.
Healthier than a kale smoothie.
You know what?
Yeah. With kava in it.
With kava, I was going to say. With kava.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right, though. And, you know, I prayed that after cancer, that God would send me people that I could help, but that could also help me. Because I'm also very independent, very stubborn, all of these things. But, again, finding YACS and, you know, letting some friendships die off, but then some flourishing at the same time. So crucial and vital. And like you said, it's ever evolving. It's ever changing every day. I'm finding out something new after diagnosis. I'm about myself.
Oh, yeah.
And then because I'm learning new of me, other people, I'm learning new of them as well. So it's amazing.
Oh, totally. And everybody I lost, I gained. For every one person that went, I got 5 more fucking people that I can't juggle and that I love. Yeah, I don't know what to do. But then I'm managing that I love, who are wonderful people.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm lock and step just fine.
Baby,
you know?
You haven't lost anything.
Mm-mm.
You haven't lost anything.
We didn't lose nothing.
Girl,
Everything's great.
Nothing.
We better fucking cut this off, or we're gonna talk for another 2 hours.
Will, and we surely will. So you are absolutely correct.
I was just thinking, I was like, we could go on a whole nother tangent right now.
Because this is just
this is who we are. This is how we are.
Mm-hmm. But guys, listen, if you've made it this far, you are a trooper.
God bless.
That means you love me and you wanted to hear Maria's sweet voice. That's what that means.
Yeah.
So, again, I hope that you've gained some type of knowledge from Maria's story. You guys have heard my story before, but listen, it is so vital and crucial that if you're out there first and foremost and you are in any type of abusive relationship, seek help, please. Even if you want to reach out to Maria, you want to plug your social media?
I have a Facebook page, the Hodgkin's Lymphoma, which is probably easier than Googling it, honestly, than that website that we already did.
Yep.
12 times. And then,
12 times.
And then on Instagram, I'm on Instagram fucking constantly, and you can find me at Maria V. LaMonica. And then there are links. Yeah. And there are links and shit. So, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, don't be
socials
out there not getting help. You know what I mean? Like, there are people out here who care, that want to let you know that if I made it, you can make it. So, you know, definitely get help if you need it. But, girlfriend, thank you.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I just wanted to be able to just do what we do, just record it. I mean, it's...
me, Yolanda, Erin, Stephanie, Dion, we all hang out outside of the, like, after our, like, we have like a 3-hour-long meeting, and then we stand outside. Meeting. Yeah, we have our own meeting.
We do every time, like
every time.
Like, oh, okay,
we don't do it intentionally. It's not meant to be clicky. It's just something that happens. And so, like,
I love you guys.
Welcome to the party, everybody. Thank you.
But guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. It's your girl Yolanda. I'll check you guys on the next one.